Video footage has just been released of a Sumatran orangutan self-medicating himself after a fight left him injured in the face. From the BBC, May 2024, a Sumatran orangutan in Indonesia has self-medicated using a paste made from plants to heal a large wound on his cheek, say scientists. His name is Rakus. He used a substance known as plant poultice, akar kuning in Indonesian. A team of Indonesian researchers observed Rakus rolling up the leaves, wetting them, and applying the substance to his wound. Within 5 days, the wound was cleared up. Smithsonian. In 21 years of observing orangutans at this park, scientists have never seen an individual self-heal a wound using akar kuning. Princeton University biology professor Agustin Fuentes tweeted, "Super cool report of what many have known and seen for ages. Maybe now a broader scientific community will engage with this reality and capacity and its implications." Other primates that self-medicate. Science writer Joel Shurkin reported that lemurs, baboons, chimpanzees, and bonobos have all been observed self-medicating. According to his 2014 paper published at PNAS, lemurs in Madagascar nibble on tamarind and fig leaves and bark to kill parasites. Continuing, baboons in Ethiopia eat the leaves of a plant to combat the flatworms that cause schistosomiasis. More, parasite-ridden, constipated chimpanzees in Tanzania chew on the leaves of a noxious plant to rid themselves of parasites. Continuing, researchers observed chimpanzees in Tanzania eating aspella leaves. Bonobos regularly consume the Maniophyton fulvum plant as a powerful overnight laxative to relieve themselves of parasites. BBC, quote, "They are our closest relatives, and this again points towards the similarities we share with them. We are more similar than we are different," end quote, said biologist Dr. Isabella Laumer, lead author of the research. Professor Shurkin, the scientists researching zoopharmacognosy are convinced that humans can learn from the animals, particularly in finding new medications. Self-medication in early humans. Quote, "We have evidence of healthcare dating back 1.6 million years ago, but we think it probably goes further back than this," end quote, Professor Penny Spickens. To date, there is no evidence of self-medication among the Australopithecines or of any adjacent species such as Homo naledi. Hard evidence for self-medication begins with genus Homo. From a 2018 paper, evidence from the fossil record, paleogenomics, suggests that caregiving for the diseased evolved as part of the unique suite of cognitive and socio-cultural specializations that are attributed to genus Homo. The Homo erectus skulls discovered at Dmanisi, Republic of Georgia, date back to 1.95 million years ago. One of the 5 skulls recovered in the Caucasus, dubbed the Old Man of Dmanisi, shows evidence of long-term care. From a 2006 paper, David Lortke-Panizzi et al., Earliest Toothless Hominid Skull. This specimen not only represents the earliest case of severe masticatory impairment in the hominid fossil record to be discovered so far, continuing, but it also raises questions about alternative subsistence strategies in early genus Homo. The strongest evidence for self-medication among early humans comes from Neanderthals. Quote, Neanderthals ate plants. They self-medicated using a range of medicinal plants, and they used complex material processing methods for plant materials, end quote. Professor Karen Hardy, University of Barcelona. Paper, Neanderthal Self-Medication in Context. We identified compounds from two non-nutritional plants, yarrow and chamomile, in a sample of Neanderthal dental calculus from the northern Spanish site of El Citron. Continuing, we propose indeed that these plants were selected and ingested deliberately for the purpose of self-medication. NBC News, scientists find medicinal plants caught in Neanderthal teeth, 2012. From dental scrapings, chemicals that are found in yarrow and chamomile, two types of herbal remedies used to cleanse wounds. Continuing, and chamomile may be best known today as a soothing tea, but that's because it has a settling effect on colds, headaches, intestinal distress, and menstrual cramping. Quote, we have identified these plants. We feel the most likely use is for self-medication. This fits so well with the extensive evidence for self-medication among higher primates and many other animals, end quote, Professor Hardy. Another paper was released in 2016, evidence for the paleoethnobotany of the Neanderthal. Study. We found evidence for Neanderthals' nutritional, medicinal, and ritual use of plants, which includes 61 different taxa from 26 different plant families found at 17 different archaeological sites. Shanidar. The most impressive evidence that Neanderthals engaged in healthcare comes from the Shanidar cave in Iraq. The Shanidar Neanderthals were discovered in 1960 by American archaeologists Ralph and Rose Solecki. There are 6 well-preserved skeletons in all, ranging from infants to full adults. Solecki argued that one of the Neanderthals buried at Shanidar may have been a kind of medicine man or shaman in his group. From the Shipley-Kincher paper, the grave at Shanidar, Iraq, a Neanderthal was buried with several plants recognized as having medicinal properties. Professor Hardy notes in her paper, the 4 adults suffered a range of injuries from which they had recovered. It is unlikely this could have occurred without use of antibacterial plants. Continuing, near the graves at Shanidar, clusters of pollen from several plants, including ephedra, identified as having significant medicinal properties. Professor Penny Speakins, Department of Archaeology, University of York. Neanderthal healthcare was widespread, knowledgeable, and effective in reducing mortality risk. Professor Speakins, Shanidar 1 survived for at least a decade despite a withered arm, damaged leg, probable blindness, and hearing loss. Continuing, this was likely to have been from daily care and provisioning from others. Homo sapiens. Professor Hardy, many examples of healing after trauma and overcoming infections suggest a mastery in the use of medicinal plants by the Upper Paleolithic. Study. The earliest known healed surgical procedure was detected on a 50-year-old male from the site of Vasilyevska in Ukraine. Continuing, coinciding with the late hunter-gatherer period around 8,000 to 7,000 years ago. This population has recently been identified as Caucasus-Lower Volga, ancestors of the Yamnaya, Russia steppe beaker population. Johannes Krauss of the Max Planck Institute, co-discoverer of Neanderthal DNA, has identified modern Europeans as having 50% Russia steppe, 40% Anatolian farmer, and 10% hunter-gatherer ancestry. Surgical and healing practices 8,000 years ago in the Caucasus-Lower Volga would suggest that Proto-Europeans were the first anatomically modern humans to practice advanced forms of medicine. A legacy that lives on in modern European populations today. Thank you for watching. Much more to come on the Yamnaya.